Queen. I'm so weird. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very exciting video. Today we're going to be doing a full-faced Primark makeup look. Yeah, so it's just a very soft, everyday glam, big fluffy lashes, skin is glowing. If you just want to see what I thought of the Penny's makeup and see everything on, then make sure to keep on watching and then I'll see you at the end. Let's go. Okay, so please excuse the fact that I look like an absolute boiled egg. This is what we're dealing with. So all I have on my skin at the moment is I have fake tan on, as you can see. And then I have on a tiny bit of Inglots Peach Primer. I just have that in a tester pot. And then I have the ordinary rosehip oil. And then on my lips, I just have the Pixie lip treatment. So first I'm going to go in and prime my skin. So for primer, I'm going to go ahead and use the Primark Double Radiance Primer. So as you can see, I've used this already. I got this about 2 weeks ago now and I am obsessed with it. I mentioned this primer in my Penny's haul video, which I'll link down below, but it just gives you the nicest glow. And it has a bit of a colour to it as well. My skin would get a little bit oily around my nose and that, but I don't find that this makes me like extra oily or anything. And it doesn't make my foundation separate or go weird. It just gives your skin like the nicest glow. And because it does have that like peachy undertone to it, it kind of just like colour corrects if you do have any redness. Like I have a lot of marks, some spots on my face, and it just kind of like blurs them out. So now that we have our skin all primed and glowy, I'm gonna go ahead and put on some foundation. So I picked up a few different foundations. I picked up the My Perfect Colour Longwear Ultimate Matte Foundation. So this is the one that's been like compared to Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is a more, I would say, medium buildable coverage. It does have a very matte finish, so if you are dry or have any texture, I definitely wouldn't recommend this foundation for you. But if your skin is like normal to oily, then you might like this one. The next foundation I picked up was the Primark Perfect Coverage Foundation. So this is the one that I mentioned in my last haul video. I picked it up in 2 shades, so I got the shade 102 and then the shade 108. And if you've watched my last haul video, you will know that I'm obsessed with this foundation. I've been using the new NARS Longwear foundation and I've actually put that down and started using this more. For everyday wear, if you're looking for a full coverage foundation that lasts really well on the skin, definitely give this a try. And then the last foundations I picked up are these stick foundations. These are the My Perfect Colour Moisturising Foundation Stick. So I got these in 3 colours because I want to use them for like contouring and highlighting as well. So I got the shade Cool Sand for highlighting. I got the shade Toffee, which is the same shade as that first foundation that I showed you. And then I got the shade in Rich Espresso for my contour shades. As I was saying in my last video, there is a shade down from this. I think there's 5 shades in total. And I wish I would have got the colour down from the Rich Espresso just to use as a bronzer. But I did pick up the contouring palette and it does have a shade very similar just to warm up the skin. So I'll probably use that one as bronzer. So I'm going to go in with the foundation stick in the shade Toffee as my foundation. So I'm just going to apply the foundation like 3 stripes on each side. I'm going to pop one on my chin, down my nose, and then just a little bit on my forehead. My main problem areas on my skin would be my cheeks and around the mouth area. My forehead's pretty clear, but I always find I always break out around these areas, so I do need a little bit more coverage around the cheeks and just around the mouth area. I do find since I've started using that Primark primer, I don't need to use as much foundation because the primer actually blurs out the skin and almost like colour corrects a little bit. So that foundation stick went on really nicely. It just kind of glided onto the skin. It does say it has a velvet finish, buildable coverage, and has vitamin E in it, so that's probably why it did blend so easily on the skin. So to blend that out, I'm going to go in with my iconic flat top brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to push that into the skin. Yeah, it does blend really nicely on the skin. It's literally just, I don't know if you can see, melting into the skin. Because it is a cream foundation, I'm going to avoid the under eye area just because that's how your under eye creases a lot. If you start putting a lot of products underneath your eyes, it's going to crease really badly. So I'm going to leave underneath the eyes for concealer and then just blend this out around the face. That looks so nice. It has like a medium coverage, as it was saying. I can still see a little bit of redness poking through around my cheek area, but like it's not too bad. You wouldn't notice unless you looked really closely. It doesn't really look like I actually have foundation on. It looks like skin. It's not gathering anywhere around my nose area. Blended really nicely. And the coverage definitely is like a medium buildable coverage. I'm gonna go back in and just see if I can build up the coverage and see if it goes cakey or weird looking. So I'm just gonna put one little stripe just where that redness is poking through. That has completely just covered all of my redness. Coverage is amazing and it looks like it still has a glow to it. So as they were saying, it does have a velvet finish, so it definitely still, it's not like really matte on the skin, but that looks like literally like my skin. It doesn't really look Like obviously it looks like I have foundation on, but it doesn't like look cakey, or it looks really, really nice. I'm impressed. Obviously we'll have to see if it wears well on the skin. I will keep you updated over on my Instagram stories, so make sure to follow me over on Instagram. So next we're going to be using the KKW inspired contour set. So on the inside you get the highlight and contour bits, and then you get the little brush. This is literally identical to the Kim Kardashian one. This one was £8, so a little bit more pricey for Penny's makeup. I feel like £8 is probably the most Penny's makeup is going to cost. Yeah, so on the inside you get your little brush. So this is like a double-sided brush. One side is the brush head kabuki brush, and then on the opposite side you have the little sponge. It actually feels really soft. Like it's not like, you ever get them sponges, they're like really hard on the inside. This one's nice and squishy. I'm not sure if you're meant to use these like damp, like spray with a little bit of setting spray, or just use a dry. Sometimes I find these like lift foundation off because they're quite, I don't know, it's not like a beauty blender, it's a bit more dense, so I feel like it might like remove the foundation. Then we have the cream highlighter duo. So this is a double-ended duo. You get a highlight shade and then concealer shade. So I'll just give them a little swatch. The concealer looks a little bit dark. It almost looks like my fake tan kind of shade. And then the highlight shade is like a shimmer shade. So that there is a swatch of the highlight shade. It looks very sheer and natural. It's not like a really intense highlight, but it might apply difference on the skin. We'll give that a go. I feel like that highlight concealer shade is going to be a little bit dark, but there was only one shade range in the kit. So then this one here is the duo contour stick. So you get two sides of the contour. So the two contour shades are very, very similar. This one here is slightly darker and warmer, and then this one here is a little bit more cool toned. But they are a little bit dark, so I don't know if they're going to be too dark for me or not. We'll give them a go anyways. And then you also get a brow highlight. So this is another shimmer stick. This one feels a little bit more drying than the contour highlight one. It's a little bit more of a white highlight and a little bit more shimmery. This one is the duo one, and this is a little bit more champagne gold. So I'm going to go in with the contour stick first, and I'm going to use the slightly darker and warmer side. And I'm just going to do a little bit on my forehead and then a little bit on the cheek area. I'm going to see how it blends out first, just before I put it all over my face. If this doesn't blend, I'll be looking crazy. I'm just going to take that brush, and I'm going to use the brush end just to blend it out. And I'm just kind of pressing and pushing it upwards. That's actually blending out really nicely even with the brush. I actually thought this brush was going to be shit, but it's blending out really nice and easily. The colour did look a little bit dark, but when I blend it out, it's actually fine. It actually looks really, really natural when you buff it out. I'd say if I didn't have fake tan on, it would definitely be way too dark, but I do have a bit tan on, so it is blending a little bit nicer. Yeah, that actually looks really nice. It blends out really nicely. It is a little bit cool toned when you blend it out. Personally, I like more like warm tones. I tend to stick with like Matte Give Me Sun, so that kind of like orangey warm tone. And this one is a little bit more cool tone, so it does give you that like sculpted look. But yeah, like there's nothing bad about it. It blends really nicely. It's not too thick or greasy. It's kind of like thin in consistency. Like it literally blends like a dream. That like took 2 seconds. So I'm just going to put a little bit more on to see if we can build it up. So I'm still using the slightly warmer side, and I'm just going to put on a little bit more to see if it's buildable. And I'm going back in with the same brush. I'm just going to buff it out, and I'm just buffing that right into the hairline to make sure I don't have a weird white hairline. So I'm literally just pushing to blend it, just so you're not moving the foundation underneath. So I'm just pressing and pushing it upwards. That actually looks really, really nice. Like it looks intense on camera, but in person, like it doesn't look like I have a lot of product on my face. Guys, I'm impressed. So I'm gonna go in with the cream highlight duo next. So I'm just gonna apply the highlight shade on my cheekbones. The glow is very, very subtle. I feel like I have to build it up quite a bit to get a bit of like colour payoff. So I'm just gonna pat that out with the sponge and see what happens. Please don't remove my foundation. It is taking off some of my foundation, if you can see on the sponge. It's kind of like blending the highlight out, but at the same time it's lifting product off. So I'm actually gonna go in and just blend that out with my finger. So I'm gonna put a little bit more on. I'm just gonna tap it out with my ring finger. See what happens. Like it is very, very subtle. I had to build up quite a bit for it to look even slightly glowy. I don't find that the highlight is like separating or anything. Sometimes I find with cream highlighters they start to separate on the skin, but it looks fine. I'm just not really mad on it. I kind of knew I wouldn't be, but I just never really find like a cream highlighter or a cream stick highlighter that I like that nice. So I'm actually going to go back in my foundation brush and just kind of buff that out, because I do find that they're lifting quite a bit of my coverage. So I'm not really mad on the cream highlighter side. I'm going to try the concealer shade, but I do think it's a little bit dark. It does look a little bit dark. It almost looks like my foundation shade. So I'm going to give it a go anyways and see. Like, that is way too dark. So if I didn't have fake tan on now, this would be like 10 times too dark for my skin tone. The contour stick, yes, but the highlight stick, I'm just like, no. Like, I wouldn't use the highlight stick again. Honestly, it looks like I haven't even applied any highlighter on my face. I'm not really a fan of the highlight stick. It's just, I wouldn't use it again. Honestly, I wouldn't use the highlight stick again. But the contour stick is nice, but there's other products that I would use instead of it, like the cream foundation sticks. I definitely use them for contouring over this one. So I'm going to go ahead and try the brow highlighter anyways. This one did seem to be a little bit more pigmented when I swatched it. So I'm just going to apply this underneath my brow bone. It kind of looks a little bit cakey. I don't know, it's gathering really weird around my brow. I feel like you can't really see it. Like, I'm applying it and it's like nothing's happening. It just looks like I'm applying like a matte concealer. So to warm up my face a little bit, I'm going to go in with the Master Contour Palette. This actually has 2 powders, 3 contour shades and 1 shimmer highlight shade. So I'm going to go ahead and use these just to warm up my face a little bit. So I'm actually going to use that brush that I used with the contour sticks. Just taking that first shade on the bottom row and I'm just going to apply that over where I contoured, just to add a little bit more warmth. I'm actually going to mix a little bit of this colour just to deepen it a bit more. Yeah, that shade's perfect. So these seem to have a lot more pigmentation than the contour sticks. The contour sticks are a little bit more sheer. Don't get me wrong, the contour sticks do have a lot of pigment to them, but I feel like these give a little bit more coverage. This is a lot handier to use. You can literally just dip in and apply it straight to your face. You don't need to like draw on and blend it out. And I prefer the shade of this one compared to the contour stick. The contour stick is very cool toned compared to this one. So I'm going to take a little bit of the shimmer shades. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply that with my finger. So I'm going to take a little bit and just, oh. That actually is really, really pigmented and has, can we see the glow? That is super glowy. So this one definitely gives a little bit more of a glow. The more you blend it out, it does get a little bit more subtle as you buff it into the skin. This palette actually reminds me of the So Sumi palette. I feel like the shades in it look the exact same. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that highlighter down the nose. A little bit to the Cupid's bow. Normally if I was doing this I would use a wet beauty blender or just a beauty sponge, but I don't have one on me, so I'm just gonna use my finger. I do like really glowy skin, so I'm just gonna buff that in around my chin, and then I'm gonna pop a little bit on my forehead as well, and then I'm gonna set everything with a powder so I won't be as like greasy looking. Obviously if you're using a lot of cream products, it's gonna start to look a little bit oily and greasy because creams are quite heavy on the skin. So just use a tiny little bit, and if you need to build it up then go in with a little bit more. They do have a cream highlight shade that you could use as like a concealer. Personally I find this too heavy to use underneath the eyes. I might use this as an eye base. So for concealer I'm just going to use my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. This is a liquid highlight, so it's going to dry down a little bit better than a cream product. I'm actually going to use the brush that I got. So I got this for highlighting, but I have 2 of them, so I'm going to use my older one to blend out concealer, and then I'll use this for highlight and powder. So I'm going to go in and use that brush just to blend out my concealer, and this brush is the 141 brush. That's what it looks like there. So I'm just going to use that to blend out that Makeup Revolution concealer. And I am obsessed with this concealer. It's my tour tube. The only thing is it's so hard to get. It's like gold dust. One of the girls actually got it in Manchester for me. I know Boots, no not Boots, Superdrug in Liffey Valley sell it, and so does the Superdrug in Tala, but they're always sold out. Such a nice concealer, and it's literally like €5. So I have my concealer blended out. I'm actually going to go in and try a little bit more of the cream highlighter on a brush. So I'm going to take a little bit of that shimmery highlight shade on that brush, and I'm just going to see if it applies any different using a brush. Oh my god, that is so much nicer. That applies way nicer with a brush than your finger. Oh. Again, it still is really, really subtle, but it does apply a little bit nicer and a little bit more intense with the brush, and just blends a little bit nicer. This will be like so nice in summer if you don't want to use any powders and you just want to use creams for a bit of a more like natural look. Even without makeup, if you just buff that into your skin, that'd be really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and use that yellow banana powder, and I'm going to take that on my Clean Pro touch-up brush. So the same brush that I used for the highlight I'm going to use powder. And I love this little brush. I got the one that I was using there last week, and I've been using it for highlighter every day and like concealer. So I needed to pick up another one just so I could have one for powders and one for cream products. I'm going to take this one and use this for powder. So I'm going to use that banana powder. So it's not super brightening. It does give a little bit of a yellow cast. So if you like that, then this is like a banana powder. So it does kind of look a little bit more yellowy on the skin. I don't know, it does look a little bit chalky maybe. That could be because I have like a load of concealer and cream products on. Like from far away it doesn't look bad, but up close it does look a little bit like it's kind of gathering. But like it doesn't look too bad. It just does look a little bit kind of cakey around the eye area. I'm going to go in and use that contour powder as well. So I'm going to take that contour powder just to set my... No, I need to set my face first before I go in with that. So I couldn't find a pressed powder that had colour. I know they do have them, but they only had really light shades or really dark shades left. So I picked up the PS pressed powder. I'm pretty sure this is just like a translucent powder. But yeah, this is just a translucent powder, so I'm going to use that to set my entire face. And I'm just going to press that over the contour, just so it's not like sliding everywhere. You always want to set your face if you're using cream products, especially if you're going to be wearing them for a while, because creams are a lot heavier, so they're going to like slip and slide a lot more than a liquid would. I do look obviously a lot more matte now that I've set my face, but the powder itself is really like fine in consistency, so it's not catching onto any patches on my skin. So now that my face is set, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try that powder contour shade from the palette. So I'm going to take that on this Buff and Blend angled brush. This is the BB05. That's the brush I actually use to set my face as well because I'm super lazy. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take that contour shade just to set my cream contour. And I'm just going to take a small bit to start off and see how it blends. Okay, that is really, really pigmented. Like I took the tiniest amount and look how much product is on my skin. That is so nice. Okay, I probably put on a little bit too much. But we'll blend it out, it's fine. Well, the pigment is there with that colour anyways. Like I literally applied the tiniest little bit and look how much colour payoff is on my cheeks. I look sculpted to the gods. So again, I'm just going to go in with a little bit more of that contour powder and I'm just going to set the forehead. And when I'm setting, I kind of like to push the product in, so I'm kind of pushing and blending upwards into the hairline. You don't want to go really hard or that's going to move the products underneath. So just really light-handedly push and push back. So you're pushing into the skin and then just pushing back into the hairline. And that way you're going to get a fuller coverage and it won't go patchy. I'm just going to go in with the Penny's So Peachy Powder Blush. I use this blush all the time. It's $2.50 and I love the colour of it. I use this every day. So I'm taking that on the same Buff and Blend brush and I'm just going to press that over cheeks. I love blush, it just adds a little bit of colour back to the skin. So next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my highlight with the new nude highlighter. So this is the Body Shimmer. This is meant for the body, but I'm going to use it on the face anyways. The packaging is really, really nice on this. This was only €5 and I feel like it looks like it's a lot more expensive. Like the packaging just looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and use that powder. Oh no, it has one of them like sticky things on it. I hate these. And I have nails on, so I'm not going to be able to... Oh, it has a little pulley thing on it. That would make sense. Oh, I hate these things. They like go everywhere. They're so messy. So I'm going to apply this highlighter using the same brush that I used to set my under eye. So that one is the Touch Up brush from Penny's. I'm pretty sure that brush was like €2 as well. And I love it. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of that and just apply it onto the... Oh my god. I was not expecting that. Can you see how pigmented that is? So that highlight is blinding. If you like a really like icy bright highlight, you will love this. I literally put the tiniest bit on and it was like blinding. I would prefer this highlight if it was a little bit more goldy. So if they bring out a goldy colour in this, that would be Amazing. So I'm going to take a little bit of that highlight again, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my forehead, Cupid's bow. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my top lip, a little bit on my chin. I do prefer like a pressed highlight just because I find these highlighters just go everywhere. I'm just so messy as it is. I don't need something that's just like a disaster waiting to happen basically. I'm actually going to apply a little bit of this on my collarbones. Take a little bit. Can we see the pigment? That is unreal. Blinding. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just blend it out on my collarbones, a little on my shoulder. Like if you are a little bit paler or you just like an icy highlight, this will just give you life. Next I'm going to move on to eyes. For eyes I have this little palette. I have this a while and I've used them before. Penny's eyeshadows blend really nicely. They are pigmented. This black is so pigmented. I only have 6 shades, so I'm going to kind of do like a everyday makeup look. I went into Penny's again to try and find some eyeshadows. I feel like I have a lot of the colours, or some of the colours that they have, I'd never use them. So yeah, I'm going to create them a little bit more natural. And I went in and I picked up 2 of the blending brushes. So you get 2 in a pack, and this is €4. So you get one slightly bigger blending brush, and then one's a little bit more kind of narrow. So to prime my lids, I'm going to go back in with the contour kit, and I'm just going to take that cream concealer shade on that brush that I've used, and I'm just going to apply a little bit onto the lids to prime for a shadow, and I'm just going to blend that out. So I'm going to take this first colour, this is called Baked, and I'm going to take that on that slightly larger blending brush and just work that through the crease. And as you can see, like that's literally the tiniest little bit of eyeshadow, and they're so pigmented. Like if you put those shadows into like a MAC palette, I honestly would not be able to tell the difference between them. This brush is really soft and it's blending out really nicely. Yeah, the brush is blending really nicely. It's really soft and easy to blend with. I honestly thought this was going to be like really scratchy. So next I'm going to take the shade Firecracker. So this is like a peachy kind of colour, and I'm just going to use that colour just to warm up the first colour, because the first shade is a little bit more neutral, but it's a really nice colour for like every day if you just want like a wash of colour to the crease. I'm going to take that orange just to warm that up a little bit. And then the next colour I'm going to go in with is a slightly darker brown. This one is in the shade Brick, and I'm just going to take that colour and just darken up the crease a little bit. And again, I'm using the same brush just to buff it out. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that colour Brick on that smaller brush. So this one's a little bit more narrow. And I'm just going to use that and pat it all over the lash line and just deepen up that outer corner. So we're not going to be doing any eyeliner today, so a little trick is just pat your eyeshadow along the lash line, and that way it will look like you have eyeliner on. So to deepen up the very outer edge, I'm going to go in with that really dark brown. This one is in the shade Espresso. So that's just a very cool toned matte brown. And I'm going to take that on the same brush, so I'm still using that white brush. And I'm just going to repeat the step before, and I'm going to pat that along the lash line just to create the effect that I'm wearing eyeliner. So I'm just patting that along the whole entire lash line, and just tiny little circular motions to blend it out. The pigment is there with these eyeshadows, like for €1. Definitely if you're looking to start out in makeup, or you just want some cheap eyeshadows for like everyday use, Penny's is your gal. So for the lid, I'm going to go in with this little pigment. This one is a little bit more of an orangey rose gold. So I'm going to take that and just apply a little bit on the back of my hand. Penny's actually now have a mixing medium, so it's kind of like Duraline to apply your pigments and stuff. But I have Duraline. I'm actually going to go in with this straight away, and I'm not going to use it on a wet base. I'm just going to blend that out so you can see how pigmented that is. So that there is just a tiny little bit of that pigment without a base, and look how pigmented that is. Like, that is unreal. I'm actually going to go in on an Inglot 13P brush, apply that. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just pat that onto the lids. Like, I cannot get over how pigmented they are. Like, that was literally, I think they were like €5 for a set of 3. I'd love if they brought out more colours in these pigments. I did say that they had like glitters now, like chunky glitters, but if they brought out like loads of shades in the pigments, that would be unreal. I'm just going back in with that dark brown shadow just to press over the lash line again, because I kind of covered it with the pigment. Then for the inner corners, I'm going to take the lightest pigment, so it's more of a vanilla kind of champagne colour, and I'm just going to wipe off that brush and just use the same brush because I'm so lazy. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of that pigment. Like, look how blinding that is. Unreal. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and apply some lashes. So the lashes I'm going to use today are the Sosumi lashes. These ones are in the style Paris, I think these are. I just love the Sosumi lashes. Style Paris is my fave, and then I love the Dubai ones as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on these lashes and let them dry for a minute. So I've just popped off camera for a sec and I applied my lashes on this side. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this eye. I just applied a little bit of mascara on this side as well. I used the PS Iconic mascara. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply those. So I always start in the middle and then just stick it down at either side. So once I have my lashes on then, I'm gonna go ahead and just go back in with that tiny little 13p brush from Inglot. And I'm gonna take that black eyeshadow and I'm just gonna press that along the lash line. So kind of like what we were doing before with the brown, but I'm just using this to hide the lash band. And this will also make your eyelashes look a lot fuller. So if you're going with more of a natural lash, if you just add a little bit of eyeshadow to the lash line, it's going to make them look a lot more full and fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the same colours that I used on top underneath. So I'm going to go back in with the kind of smaller blending brush. I'm going back in with that shade Brick. So I'm going to keep it really light and just apply that shade underneath the lash line. I'm just going back in with my mascara then, and I'm just going to apply that to my lashes. Sorry, but I have to make this face when I'm doing mascara. It has to be done. So for lips then, we're just going to keep it really natural, and I'm going to use the PS Nude Liquid Lipstick. This one is in the shade Skinny Dip and it was €3. So for lip liner, I'm going to use the Penny's lip liner in the shade Toffee. I love the Penny's lip liners. I use this lip liner every day. As you can see, it's tiny. So I do kind of overdraw a little bit underneath and then a little bit over the cupid's bow. So I'm going to go in and use that liquid lipstick. Okay, that is very, very light. Like the swatch looks a lot darker than when you put it on your lips. That is very pale. So I'm just tapping out the edges just to blend it into the lip liner. Just because it is quite pale, you don't want like a dark ring of lip liner around your lips. Yeah, so that there is the finished look. So I'm going to do a little giveaway exclusive to YouTube. So all you have to do is leave a comment below of what products that you'd love to try from this video. Obviously it will be a new palette, don't worry. So leave a comment below and make sure you're subscribed to my channel. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a little thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in my next one.